This is why we call this podcast Inside Game.
Yes.
This is a story you'd find nowhere else.
Yes. Nowhere else.
We always want that story from a couple years ago that you're sitting there going, God, I can't wait till the one day I can do this. Well, here we go.
Yes.
Without further ado, Derrick Brooks, you read the mail from 7 years ago.
And this is exclusive. Never been read before.
Welcome back to Inside Game.
Yeah,
we got some sports to talk about today.
Do we?
You know what we got in sports today?
What we have?
One of the best contracts ever signed in Philadelphia sports history. Well, you're laughing, so I know you know which one I'm talking about. I'm talking about, was it about $300 million to Joel Embiid?
Yeah. For one side, it's definitely a great contract. For the other side, it's, ooh, did we just do that?
Why did they extend him when they extended him? I'm no basketball guy. That's why I got you on the show. Tell me, why in the world did they decide to extend him knowing he was injury prone?
So when Joel first came to the Sixers, they were of a losing culture on purpose. They wanted to lose. They were doing what's called in the NBA tanking.
Yeah.
Right? And they were tanking so that they could amass more draft picks and capital so that they can go out and build a super team so they can have a dynasty. And so when they brought Joel in, he was injured. It was fine. He wasn't going to play. They could slow walk him playing.
Right.
That first couple games when he started playing, they noticed he was more than just an asset for the team. He was a franchise player.
Yeah.
In all accounts, Joel is a really, really solid individual player.
Yes.
Individually, if the NBA was a one-on-one game, Joel be up there in the top five, because it's hard to stop him. The problem is the NBA is 5-on-5. So you have to not only be ready for yourself, but you have to be conditioned for your teammates. So in the offseason, you have to do everything possible to make, when you're in season, go smoothly, right? So if people look at Steph Curry, his offseason is much harder than in season. For Joel, because he was brought up in a culture that did not care what he did in the offseason, he didn't take care of his body correctly. He didn't eat correctly. So when he came back during the season, yes, you're more prone to injuries. You're 7'2". It doesn't matter how good you are. It matters how well you take care of your body to extend your lifetime in playing in the NBA. So here's the issue. They're looking at it from one side. He's an unbelievable, once-in-a-generation talent, and he is. Scored 50 a game, 70 a game, unstoppable. They're not looking at the longevity, which they should be, to say, can he withstand multiple years? So whoever's decision that is, to say, can he withstand years in this game? Yes, we should pay him, or no, let's wait and see if he produces. That's the problem. That's where it started.
Well, the other problem is he's been surrounded by guys with no heart his whole time. I mean, is there a less Philly guy than Ben Simmons in the history of the league? We've had that conversation on this show before.
Yeah.
And now they bring in Paul George. Now, he's a good player, but they signed him to a dumb contract too.
Man, I mean, the Paul George signing is baffling to everyone except Paul George. It might even be a little baffling to Paul George. He might drive home some days from the practice facility or a game where he played 38 minutes and had 2 points. He might drive home and say, how the hell did this happen? I love America. Like,
God bless you.
Yes, God bless America. This is what happens when you were once something that was formidable in the league, and now you are an entirely different person and player, but yet people hold on to what you used to be.
Right.
I mean, if that's the way it works, then we should go back and get Barkley and Shaq and Jordan. Put them on the Sixers. We'd probably do better bringing those guys back on, because those guys at least have the ticker and the heart. I think Paul George, there should be another element of how you qualify a guy to give him a max deal. It should not be strictly numbers or who you were in the past for another team. There should be a heart monitor test. Or not that it's beating, it's that it's the heart is telling you, I want this more than any other player in the world. Forget the money.
And you know, the guy that never made sense that they got rid of, to me, because he passed that test, even though he's crazy. Let's make no mistake, he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Goes down to Miami, beats the shit out of the Sixers every time he shows up, puts a dagger in their heart every time. Now, he's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, oh man, you finally had a guy in the Sixers who actually wanted to take the shot at the end of the game. So let's go back a couple years. They trade him to Miami and they keep Ben Simmons, right? Is that I never remember. They kept one of the guys. They trade him down to Miami. What was the thinking there? Why couldn't you keep those two guys together?
Here's the issue that a lot of people don't know. So Ben was still on a rookie deal. I think he just maybe was about to sign an extension. They pushed all the chips to the middle of the table.
Yeah.
When they went out in the middle of the season and got Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And for all accounts, that was Elton Brand that did that deal. And that was a good job by Elton to say, you know what, I'm going to put my trust in these two guys.
Yep.
They're both averaging over 20. If we can make all those puzzle pieces fit, then we got a championship team. We just need more shooting, right? Because Ben refused to shoot.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So we get them here, and everyone thought the issue was between Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. They even pointed Jimmy at Tobias to say that's the little in-team rivalry, but it wasn't. The real rivalry was between Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler.
Of course it was.
And you know why? Because one guy is about working and the work ethic to make himself the best player. He's come out of the mud, and then the other guy was given everything. So when you are watching that guy not work as hard, not do as much, but yet he's given all these God-given that talents and abilities. Runs like a deer. He's 6'10", he's strong, but he has no ticker. And when you see that, you become pissed off. Like, why does that guy get the same treatment as me, and I work 3 times harder than that guy?
And the only guy, in my opinion, that got Embiid to show some heart was Butler.
Yes.
When Butler's on the floor, he's sitting there going, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
No one else on the Sixers ever seems to do that.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris is a good player, but I don't think he's got that leadership skill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, Jimmy Butler's like, okay, you ain't going to take the shot. I'm going to take the shot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make you feel bad when I hit it and you didn't.
Yeah. Well, there's players that themselves are great. Like Joel Embiid is a great player.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid pushing other players to be great is not him. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys
Exactly.
where he understands his role, but more of the role that he has is pushing the greatness out of other players. He could not do that with Ben Simmons. And when he realized, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, this kid is just going to do what he wants to do, that's when Jimmy Butler said, it's either me or him. Like, you got to have Ben or you got to have me. And they chose Ben. And then Jimmy chose to leave. He said, I can't be around that. The coach coddles this guy because the coach at the time, Brett Brown, knew Ben since birth. So, yeah, he's going to give him a couple extra slacks than he would other guys. And Ben didn't have the same issues that Jimmy Butler had. Jimmy Butler came with some issues. Like, oh, he's not a team guy. Oh, he argues with everybody he can. Oh, he gets pissed off at the drop of a hat. He's very demanding. But they couldn't say when he was on the court that he didn't give 150% of
He's
who
a
he was.
gamer.
Yes.
He's a Philly guy. He's a gamer.
Yes. Wasn't the fastest guy on the court. He didn't jump the highest, didn't have the best jump shot. But you want the ball in his hands when it mattered.
At the end of the
When
game.
it mattered.
So let's stay with George and we'll come back to Simmons because I just learned something. You got to tell me more about Simmons too. Paul George is an LA guy.
Yeah.
Paul George played in LA for a long time.
Yeah.
And my understanding is LA didn't really want him.
No.
So this reminds me of, remember we were growing up at Mom's house?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So tell the guys here what we would do when Mom made some dinner. Tell them, because it sounds like Paul George to me.
Mom makes dinner.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
I look at it. I see it's meatloaf
Yeah.
and rice pilaf. Not my flavor.
One of your favorites. Right, one of your favorites.
I get it. And I say, you know what? This would be a good meal for Paul. We're room by room. We share a wall. I knock on your door. What do you want, Derrick? Paul, Mom made dinner. Here you go. Have some more. And you're like, why didn't you eat? I didn't see you eat all day. I'm not starving. I ate already.
Yeah,
I'm
full.
good to go.
Yeah.
I'm full.
Yeah.
And you take a bite and you say, this is the nastiest shit I've ever tasted. He got me. He got me. My brother got me. My own brother, my own flesh and blood got me. And then this is exactly what the Clippers did to the Sixers. Every other kid in the household, if I go to give them,
I would drink to that.
if I go to give them this food, they say, no, I don't want your rice pilaf and your meatloaf. No, I'm fine. I'm full too. Every other team in the league said, you know what? Paul George is available for a max contract.
Right.
And if they don't want him, something's up. Something's up. Okay, we're going to pass too. The Sixers looked at it and said, rice pilaf, I hadn't had that in weeks. Love it.
Wow, no, Daryl Morey loves rice pilaf and
he learns
meatloaf.
something new every day.
No shit.
And he gets it and he maxes it out and brings him here.
Can I get seconds?
Yes. And now he has to publicly come out and say, I'm not a real big fan of rice pilaf.
So the other thing that I really want to hit on, back in 2018, you've been involved with the team forever. You
Yes.
know where all the bodies are buried. And I know you can only ever say so much on this show.
Yeah,
But in 2018, you kind of knew what was up with Ben Simmons, didn't you?
I did. I've got some documentation to prove that.
Well, that's where I was going with this thing. I know we'll probably get the editors to go put it up on the screen, but I think you got your phone there.
I do.
You want to pull up that text about what you said. Now this is 2018, everybody. I want you to hear what my brother Derrick Brooks had to say in 2018. Geez, that's 7 years ago, Brooks.
Yes. At the time I wrote it, I did not expect for it to become as big as it was or it became, because it was off of a hunch of my own feelings. And so for now, I'll keep the guy nameless who I sent the email to, but
Right.
he knows who he is. And let's say he was one of the top of the food chain there, decision maker.
Yeah.
So I said to him,
By the way, before you start with this is why we call this podcast Inside Game.
yes,
This is a story you'd find nowhere else.
yes, nowhere else.
This is what we wanted. We always want that story from a couple years ago that you're sitting there going, God, I can't wait till the one day I can do this. Well, here we go.
Yes.
Without further ado, Derrick Brooks, you read the mail from 7 years ago.
And this is exclusive, never been read before publicly. So I'm just going to read the response first,
Okay.
and then I'll read my email. The response back to me is, hey, D, you crazy. And then there's a signature.
D, you crazy.
You crazy.
All right, brother.
I crazy.
All right, brother.
I so
Tell me
crazy.
what you sent the guy.
Man who will be unmentioned. What did I tell you, bro? Congratulations are in order, my man. Now I'm going to tell you how to shock the world, make a bold move, and become legendary. Trade Ben Simmons to Charlotte. Now, this was Thursday, September 20th, 2018 at 11:54 a.m. Hear me out. MJ, Michael Jordan, is probably the most competitive guy in all sports. Use that momentum to your advantage and go get Kemba Walker on a 1-year rental. See how he works with Joel Embiid before you sign him long term. Get a few first-round draft picks and more cash. No doubt MJ, Michael Jordan, will think he won the deal with the value Ben has right now. He had just come off an all-star year, and he had won Rookie of the Year before. The value Ben has right now and what everybody thinks he can be in this league. I say Ben because my fear is in a few years he will lose value dramatically. He is not, in capital letters, a point guard in this league, bro. Between you and I've studied him, and I think he might be the biggest undercover bust in league history. He will only get worse, not better. Look at all the guys around him taking steps forward. My intuition tells me he wants to be a celebrity more than a Hall of Fame athlete. He's being given too much praise too soon, in my opinion. I think if you get ahead of this thing and against the grain, you will be a legend. Got to take the risk, right? Then you bring me in and allow me to be president. Just a thought, my man. Don't want to put too much on you too early, but remember where you heard it first. Let's catch up for lunch whenever time permits. Best, Derrick.
And you should have been the president. I mean,
Should've.
think about that move and what that would have meant to the Jimmy Butler situation too. Ben Simmons wouldn't have been here.
Yes.
You would have had extra picks.
Yes.
You would have had more money.
Yes.
And I like your quote there. I think everybody in America, everybody around the world needs to write Ben Simmons, the greatest undercover bust in history. Well, he's not undercover no more.
No, he's out. Covers are off.
But 2018, to be able to write that, and this is what this game is about. It's about knowing that there's a value like that right now, and that you're going to get over on somebody else. And look, a lot of people are conjecturing maybe this is something that happened with the Lakers trade a little bit.
Right.
That maybe there's something people don't know about what was going on with Luka.
Right.
And again, time will only tell.
Correct.
But at least somebody's asking the right question because maybe somebody knows something.
Yeah. And there's a thing about foresight, right? Some of us are blessed with the ability to see something before it happens. In this league, you are paid as a president, as a general manager, assistant general manager. You are supposed to have the utmost foresight for your team.
Yeah.
You're protecting the brand, the franchise, the players, the capital. You're protecting those things. And you are supposed to foresee. That's what makes Howie such a good president and GM. It's because he has an unbelievable keen sense of foresight. I can see where this is going with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of him now.
Yeah.
Or I could see something really happening positive here. Bring this guy in. So the barometer is not what the public is saying. And that's what's happened with Philly for years, is that we've gotten presidents and owners and GMs in that take a full account of whatever the fans are saying. So if the fans really want Paul George and they're excited about Paul George, we're going to make that deal. Why? Because it's a very small view of let's watch ticket sales go up after that happened. But it's not about ticket sales in the moment. It's about ticket sales in the longevity.
So you're telling me WIP is not a good general manager? No, I mean, that's a surprise. I mean, what about Missinelli at 97.5? Is he a better general manager?
He probably would be. You know why? Because what he does is he's not concerned of what's happening on the court per se. Like, yes, he wants good players on the court, but he wants to know who's playing for him. Like, when you listen to him talk, he's questioning that guy's work ethic, that guy's heart, right? And that's what you got to do. You got to say, does this guy have what it takes to play here in Philadelphia? Because Paul George did not know what city he was coming to.
No, he did
He had
not.
no clue.
Well, look, I'll give Missinelli credit for this. He smelled a rat with Embiid this particular season. I don't think he did in other seasons, but this season, the whole way it rolled out, he was on him about playing in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't understand why he came back in the shape that he came back in, and he just, as soon as the injuries started getting reported, he's like, "Oh yeah, you know where this is going.
Yeah,
you know exactly where this is going." And I think he called out the team a lot faster than most of the people in Philly.
Oh yeah, it's funny because you could be the lone person, as they say, the tree falling in the woods and no one hears it. That's what happens a lot. I mean, I have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the executives there and the ownership group.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many emails I sent to the ownership group saying, hey, get in front of this thing because it's going to be bad. There's a culture issue. And when it starts with culture, it will end with the players and their performance. They have to have a good culture. Everyone has to buy into what the team is doing and not the other way around.
Well, look, I got a little stat here. Steph Curry, $55 million. The Joker, $51 million. Well, that's the wrong sport, but I'll call him the Joker. They call him that too. Mm-hmm. Embiid, $51 million. But next year, Curry, $59 million. Jokic, $55 million. Embiid, $55 million.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but wait, it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
26-27, Curry, 62, 59, 59. Oh, wait, Curry's out of contract, but guess what? We get to pay Embiid 64 and 69 the next 2 years.
Correct.
64 and 69 in 27 and 28 and 28 and 29.
You know, the biggest thing that jumps out to me as you read those stats and that amount of money that's due to him, the biggest thing as you compare him to those other two guys, the biggest is availability. Those guys are available to
all
play.
The time.
They play basketball for whatever reason. Whether he feels bad, whether he's injured. Now, listen, he's played through some injuries before, and I gave him credit for playing through those injuries. But the issue remains, how do you pay a guy who's not available for you now 4 years later that he's going to get $69
And he's a big
million.
man, too.
Yeah.
He's exactly the wrong guy you signed that back-weighted contract for.
Do you want to pay a 7'2", 34-year-old, two knee injury surgeries, $69 million? You want to pay that guy that? What other 7'2" man has come back from meniscus tear?
Look, we know that the Knicks are monitoring the situation for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But you know what the team is that they should talk to in New York? They should talk to the team in New York that pays that bum $1 million a year every year in baseball, right? Think about it. I think they're done paying him in like 2068 or something. $1 million a year he gets to celebrate because they changed the contract. At least if we had that Embiid contract, they could pay him until like 2022 or 2,222, $1 million a year. But no, you get to give him $69 million. Who's that contract with the Mets have? We'll have our stats guy go pull up the contract and make us look smart right now because we can't think of his damn name.
This is Bobby
Bonilla. All right, thank God. Hey, look, thank God we got the Bobby Bonilla Day. They have a day in New York they call it Bobby Bonilla Day.
That's hilarious.
But here's my last question, Brooks. What the hell do the Sixers do next year? You might as well tank now. There's some real questions about why Embiid's high-fiving people on the sideline instead of actually just in surgery. Get him off the court. Get him as healthy as you could possibly for next year. But what the hell do you do next year?
So the claim for next year is that they are going to, for all accounts, dupe the season ticket holder fans again. Over the summer, you're going to see a new line come out about how this is the team that's going to take it to the championship. They are going to, I will say this about the Sixers organization. They may not have the best players. They may not have the best people picking the players, but by far, they have the best spin people in the NBA. They can spin a story quicker than anyone else and get you to pay again.
Didn't you used to work in the marketing department there?
For a little bit.
Yeah.
I never had those type of spin skills. So they got me out.
That's why you're not there anymore.
They're like,
you're
that
too honest.
Out. He can't spin a story for nothing. They're trying to put people in the seats. And that's what they do. And guarantee, mark my words, over the summer, they will find a way to get people excited about yet another season where Embiid will be absent. If he gets surgery over the summer, because he's not getting it right now, their claim is that they are talking to the best doctors to find the best pathway to a successful, healthy end of his career. I can't understand what that is or what doctors they're seeking out. But let's say it is surgery again. So now this is your second surgery. They're going to go in and do it right this time. And you come off of that, he still has to rehab. So now you got another season. You can't put that kind of pressure on a rookie. So even if you get a rookie to come out and you got the number one pick from Duke or the kid from Rutgers, Bailey, even if you get those guys, you can't put that kind of pressure on them to say, we're a starving franchise in a starving city for just a playoff berth. We needed you to do it. 18-year-old guy, 19-year-old guy, we need you to do it. You can't put that pressure on them. So now you're talking at least 2 seasons out. And then you need time to gel. So 3 seasons out. Now he's 34 and he's up for a new deal.
Can we bring Sam Hinkie back?
Everyone wants Sam Hinkie back. You know, it's always funny. Growing up, what did mom say to us? Like, see it through to the end.
Yeah.
Don't stop in the middle. Finish it all the way up. Finish your dinner.
You better
finish
tank
your
it.
homework.
You better tank it all the way down to empty.
Take it all the way to the end.
The fish tank better be empty.
Yes.
They still had some water in it when Hinkie left. That was the problem.
So this is the inside about Hinkie. I'll say it real quick. The league set this all up, right? And then Hinkie, who wasn't particularly a basketball guy, but was considered by most just a savant genius on how to figure out a loophole and exaggerate it. So he figured out the loophole, and he started working it to perfection. The league noticed, hell, this Hinkie guy over here in the Sixers, they are dropping every game. They went 10-72, and fans are still there. People are high-fiving. Everybody's bought into this process. That's not good, right? Normally, a team is forced to go up because the fans stop showing up. Yeah. And when the fans stop showing up, then the sponsorship stops.
The Philly fans were in on
The
it.
Philly fans were in on it. They were like, let's do this side deal. Let's do it. We're with you, Yankee. And he was doing it, and it was to perfection. They're still paying their money. The games are packed. We're losing by 97.
And they're rooting for that.
And they're rooting for that. They're like, lose. We got guys on there that didn't even play high school ball. It was like sign up for the Sixers. You can sign up, and if you got your name in before October 15th, you might get to play. It was guys, plumbers. It didn't matter. Whoever you were, LA Fitness, we were bringing them all in. And they could wear these jerseys and play for the Sixers. And it was probably the first time in history that our G League team in Delaware was by far better than the team that played at Wells Fargo Center. And so the league took notice, and they were like, oh, my gosh, so you got a bunch of owners complaining. They're over there stockpiling draft picks and capital. They're not paying anyone. Yeah. Everyone over there is on a rookie deal. This guy's 42 years old. He's on a rookie deal. How are you paying everyone the same amount? They got no superstars. They're losing every game. Everybody's happy. No one's getting fired. The fans are loving it. They're on TV, prime time. You know they're going to lose by 50. No one cares. And so then Adam Silver says, we got to put an end to this.
Oh, yeah, we can't have that.
Because
we can't. You're making me look bad.
Yes, you've taken our loophole and you've exaggerated it. So Adam calls the owners. You got to get that guy out of there. Not because he's helping you. So the owners don't know because they're not basketball guys. They just said, he came to us with a plan. We like that plan.
Plan looks good to me.
And the plan's working. They're getting the first or second pick every year in the draft. They got so much money to pay a superstar, they can build a dynasty. They said no. They went to the owners and said, you got to get him out of here. And we got the perfect guy to come help you search for a new GM, right? So they brought in the godfather of basketball, Colangelo, the father, right? So Brian Colangelo, the son, was just milling around, not working. The dad comes in, and all of a sudden he sees what Hinkie's doing. He sits down with him, and he says, let's search for another co-GM to kind of help you with the basketball stuff. Yeah. And he said, I don't want to do it, but I got my own plan. You can't bring someone into my plan. And so he ended up leaving, fired himself, and he wrote a 13-page manifesto and put it out there to the world, right? And then they bring in Brian Colangelo, not because he's qualified and he's the best, because they said we searched all over the globe. He's the most qualified for the GM position. No, not because he's qualified. The NBA and Colangelo's dad, they all knew that if there was one person who was going to mess this up, it could be his son. So he brought him in, hired him, and said, just do whatever you want. I know you're going to mess it up. It's like if you and I said to our son, I want you to take my car. We didn't want our car anymore. We said, you know what? For whatever reason, we don't want our car. We don't care what happens to it. We tell our sons, I want you to take this car and I want you to drive it down the street to the market. We know what's going to happen. They're going to run that car into some pole, someone else's house, a car, and it's going to get damaged, right? They knew he was going to run that car right into a brick wall. And he came to the Philly, and the first order of business, Boston Celtics said, we don't want the number one pick in the draft.
No. We don't want that guy. You guys can have Markelle Fultz. It's no problem. You can have him.
We'll take Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, the folks at the Sixers said Jason Tatum was the best draft pick watch that they have ever seen when he came in to do his workout. By far the best. Yeah. And they said, yeah, we'll take the number one pick. We'll take the number one pick. And if that's me, you and I are brothers. You call me, you are the GM for Boston, I'm the GM for the Sixers, and you call me and say, hey, Brooks, I got to propose this thing for you. We don't want number one pick anymore because the kid we like probably would be number 3. Oh, who's the kid you like? Jason Tatum. Okay. Why do you want to give me number one pick? We're in the same conference. Yeah. We're in the same conference. Yeah. Why do you want to give it to me? Yeah. It seems weird, right? You never given me anything before. Kept all your toys to yourself as a kid. Why would you want to give it to me?
Can you imagine if the Sixers actually hit on one of those picks? They take Simmons. They take Fultz. Who was the other big guy they took with the 6th pick a couple of years before that? Ended up in New Orleans. Nerlens Noel.
Oh, Nerlens,
Noel. And some of these players were okay.
Who's out of the league now.
Can you imagine all of those top 5, top 3, top 1 picks that they missed on?
Yes.
It's actually tough to miss on that many picks.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Stevie Wonder could have got one of them picks. because all he had to do was you're just doing this. They're just pressing buttons. How you press the wrong button 7 times in a row is beyond me. If it's me, I say to you, you're my blood. If you want Jason Tatum, pick him first. I still am going to pick 3. Because if we pick Markelle Fultz in the 3rd position and we're wrong, nobody's going to come down on us. But if we skip to number 1 and we don't take the best player in that draft, it's all on us. So that was his first strike. The second strike, he didn't get a 3rd strike. His second strike was he started tweeting about his players. They aren't really injured. This guy can't play. This guy's a bum. If I had a ladder, I'd smack him in the back of the head. He was sending all those tweets out. He had a burner account. They caught it.
I remember that story.
And he blamed it on his wife. He threw
crazy.
his wife under the bus.
That's crazy.
We can't do that.
Was his wife in on it, you think?
I think she wanted to protect him. She did not realize the steamroller coming her way by trying to protect him and thinking, hey, if I protect my husband, he still has income. He has a check coming in. She did not know the bus that was coming her way, and it was bad. I can't blame anything on my wife.
You know, I'm a Philly lifer. I grew up here. I love the Eagles. I love the Phillies. I'm not much of a hockey guy, but I do love the Flyers. Always been a Philly team. It is tough to like the Sixers.
Yeah.
And when I see that place full down there, when the fans are getting robbed the way that you're saying, it kind of bothers me because there's something very not Philly about the ownership of that team, about the makeup of that team, about the heart of that team. And I think it'll be a long time until I really feel like I'm on board with the Sixers really being a Philly team because they don't feel like a Philly team to me at all.
No, it's funny because as you're describing being a Philly guy and a Philly fan, what I hear is I'm here for the competition, the spirit of the game.
That's
Whatever
right.
game it
That's
is,
right.
I want competition. I want you to compete. I want you to give your all.
That's
right?
right.
Let's keep the money out of it. Before money was a thing, you really loved this sport and you wanted to play it.
That's right.
Right? At some level. And all of a sudden now you're at the professional level. And you got millions of people watching you. You got people who in this city work super hard to pay those amounts. It's not a cheap ticket, right? You take 4 people, you're spending close to $1,000. Parking, food, your tickets. And when you get down there and you see lackluster performance, it kills your spirit. So sometimes you end up rooting for another team that gives you what you're craving. So you look over across the water and you see New York doing well, and they're in the playoffs, and they're fighting, and those guys are diving in
with
the
a
crowd
bunch
and
of
bleeding.
Villanova guys, by the way.
Yes.
Just a little,
So we
little
just
turn the
assume
screw in it,
Yes.
too.
Yes.
A bunch of Nova guys.
Yes. So we just assume that's our second team. And we say, you know what? let's root for the New York Knicks because our team's on sabbatical. We're waiting for them to figure it out. Let's root for another team.
Well, all I got to say then is, Derrick Brooks, you should have been the president of the team. Maybe we wouldn't have this problem.
Listen, I would go on record and say if I was president of the team, we'd be looking at 3 championships right now, 3 of them, instead of looking at 3 guys who we can't sell to the local corner store.